all this month we've been talking about good directors that have done some films that are a little bit questionable. So it's kind of clean. We're going to clean it up this week with some of the stuff that we've forgotten about, missed, meant to talk about earlier, but never got around to. So I think one of the things that we missed was anime. I mean, Miyazaki is the really, really easy one. He's one of those examples of, at least I'm missing one. That's an example of a director who I don't think has done anything bad, unless I'm mistaken.
No, I don't think he has. I think it's more like, at least in my case, it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to like put that in the back burner so I could really get into it. Like, put on some Barry White, put on some candles, and just like go at it.
Get out the
Uh,
oil.
but yeah, no, I think he's like from the stuff that he's made from Studio Ghibli. I don't think he's made anything that's been like.
Well, I know people
bad.
aren't. I know people aren't the biggest fans of Porco Rosso. Like I really like Porco Rosso a lot, but I know that one's not the most popular one. Also, Satoshi Kon, Perfect Blue, Paprika, Paranoid Agent,
Mhm.
Millennial Princess, all that stuff. Like that guy, I don't think he ever did a bad movie, and I can guarantee you he'll never do another one. He died.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't think like he has. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, months ago, years ago. I don't even know, but I don't think that many people have seen his stuff.
No, unless you've seen Black Swan, then you've seen a good amount of Perfect Blue. But yeah, the rest of his stuff, not so much. Well,
Yeah.
Tokyo Godfathers is a remake of Three Godfathers, which is a Western, actually, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly.
Yeah.
What about you, Blake? Is there any documentaries? Earl Morris. We never ever covered documentaries either. The ones that I thought
So, like, are we talking about like stuff that like people that like good directors, or are we just talking about like bad shit
anything.
more?
Yeah, we're gonna run the gamut here.
All of it. So I would say like, oh man, because we talked. I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast or after the podcast, but we were talking about David Fincher. I feel like he's like one of those people like oh, he can do no wrong. Well, can I point you to a movie called Alien 3?
Have you seen the director's cut though?
Is it 4 hours long, broken into 4 pieces? No, this fucking movie, and I know, like, so I'm sorry, David. I know you're listening. I know that that you have divorced yourself from this film, but you fucking made it. You directed it. You did it. You made it, and it's trash. Like that fucking movie's no good. I don't know. Like that one stood out to me. A guy that like getting back to the genre, horror genre for me is and we've talked glowingly about him in the past is George Romero. George Romero has done like, and maybe I have talked about him. I don't remember. Like, but he like in his later years, like those aren't good movies. There's
He gets a pass for yeah, you're right, and I don't mean I give him a pass, but you're right. Like
like he does get a pass, right? Yeah.
people give him a
Yeah.
pass. Like there's the one I don't know if it's Diary of the Dead or it's something of the dead, but it's like a steady.
Survival of the Dead.
Yeah, like and yeah, it's objectively not a good movie, but people are willing to, and I guess for good reason. But you got to call a spade sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
'Cause
That shit don't work.
I picked up a George Romero comic book from Marvel called Empire of the Dead, and my God, that had to be one of the. I stopped at I think 2 issues, and
Yeah.
it was very very bad. But that's pros compared to movies, and I feel like yeah he gets a pass. I feel like there's a lot of directors that do get passes. Like, oh, yeah, this is just
Well, that
a
actually is
fluke.
one of the so who doesn't get called out enough? And like Blake, you mentioned Fincher, and we're talking Romero. I don't think J.J. Abrams is called out a lot. People joke about the lens flare
Yeah.
thing, but no one straight out says like, you know what? He's really not that good of a director.
Dude, what's that fucking one with the kids? It's a terrible
Super
movie.
8?
Super 8
Super 8's
sucks.
fucking
Clover,
trash.
I think Cloverfield is really bad.
M. Night Shyamalan, bro.
That's someone. Speaking, that's someone we haven't really mentioned. I mean, it's funny we've talked about him a lot, but I don't think we've directly met. He's an Oscar winner,
Yeah.
or at least he was
Yeah.
associated. And I think about it, he's gotten. It's the case that I think that Blake had mentioned is when you get your best shit out there first, then you have nowhere to go but down. I'm thinking about it, like The Sixth Sense. Aside from the twist, I don't remember anything about that movie.
Oh,
So
shit.
Bruce Willis has hair.
Haley Joel Osment has been coming out in a lot
Haley
of stuff
Joel Osment's
lately.
thin.
Yeah, he's
He's a
thin.
baby boy.
Yeah, he's beardless and everything I've seen him in since he's a complete asshole. He's actually really funny, so it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
When
No,
players-
he's hilarious. Yeah, no, I like Haley Joel Osment. Yeah, he's cool.
This director just won an Oscar for like Parasite. Bong Yoon Ho. Like
Yes.
I don't like Okja. Like I don't think I already saw Free Willy. I don't think this movie needs to exist. I think like he did. It's like this movie is like sandwiched in between like two great films, and people are like, well, he's made great movies. I'm like, have you forgotten about Okja? Like, let me remind you, this is out there. And yes, I took a day off so I could see it on Netflix.
Wow.
And
I'm
I was
glad you
disappointed.
you were like, who's at the top of the hill? I'm gonna set my sights
know.
on that motherfucker.
Yeah, that goes. I don't. Yeah, it's not the best of his, but I mean, Memories of Murder and what's called Antarctic Journal, and then of course Parasite and Snowpiercer are the two big ones. Those are really good movies. So I would say that he's one of those that are in the okay, not so great, but I would say he's probably in the gets a pass level, kind of like Romero. Who do you guys think gets called out too much?
Ooh.
Too much?
Yeah, I mean, on my case, it was like a few weeks ago. I was like, yeah, Michael Bay, easy target. Then you guys are like, well, Bad Boys, The Rock, and I was like, oh, those are kind of good movies.
Well, I feel like he gets called out because it's nothing but explosions, and that's what drives the movies. But that's what makes the movies as well. I think shoot, he directed one of the Fast and the Furious. He directed the third. No, not Michael Bay. I'm trying to think of his name. Like Lynn something. He directed Star Wars, Star Trek, into
Lynn Swan?
Is that his name?
No.
Great receiver. That'd be quite a turnaround.
No, I don't remember his name, but like that guy, I think he doesn't get called enough. I know the question is who gets called a lot now. Yeah, that guy.
Dude, I got one.
Who's that guy?
Paul W.S. Anderson. Fucking sign me up for that dumb motherfucker shit, dude. I will watch all of it, dude. It's all good to me. Like, are his movies good? No. Does he know they're bad? Yeah. Does he make them anyway? Fuck yeah, he does, dude. Sign me up, dude.
And it's kind of funny with directors. Like, you have to give credit to, and I assume this is why that there's so many good directors that have a good amount of bad movies. Is that their creativity and then their ego, and then people just start to let it go. So you have Francis Ford Coppola doing like the two Godfather movies, and then doing the Black Stallion, or
Jack. Like, give me a fucking break. Jack.
Yeah, and then it goes back to like Danny Man, Scorsese. You have Goodfellas, and you goes kind of in the middle, and then you have The Irishman, which is just ego and running amok.
Yeah, The Departed stinks. Yeah, let's establish that.
Not a Departed fan. So, which director do you think has had the worst turnaround? Like for me, it's and I always pronounce his name wrong. Paul Verhoeven, I think, the guy who did.
Verhoeven, yes.
Yeah, who did Total Recall and what's it called RoboCop, like super awesome. And then he did Hollow Man, which is like one of the worst movies. And Showgirl's like
is
that's
that
not
Kevin
bad.
Bacon? Is that Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
Yes. I usually will sit through a movie like no matter what from beginning. Hollow Man's the only movie I've ever walked out of in theaters. Like it was so bad, and I've seen it since, which was a mistake. But but that's when you've done RoboCop, and then that's not the immediate follow up, but that's one on your resume. I mean, this dude did Basic Instinct. Like that, I think that's a really good turnaround.
Yeah, good. Oh, turnaround to like you're saying from bad to good or good to bad?
Either way, because
George
either way, we're
Lucas.
involving shit.
We brought him up before, but George Lucas, like, he went from being like this fucking like Spielberg-esque considered director to being like, oh yeah, he also wrote and directed like some of the worst movies of all time. So I don't know. I mean, like I would, yeah.
That's one of those like it's so easy that you don't think about it, but you're right. Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
I think it's a great pick. I was just gonna say like Roman Polanski, but that's just
Roman Polanski.
That's like
easy
target.
Cut. Yeah, especially for the feds, man. Leave the guy
Yeah,
alone.
that's why I was like, no. You know, I really do want to say like Steven Spielberg is something that
Yeah, he's
somebody that has like a lot of like he gets a lot of passes, but I don't think I don't think it's the same anymore. When he shines, he does shine, and when he stinks, boy, he stink. And I really do think like he can't turn it around a lot of the times now, at least for me. We were there for shit. What's that name? Ready Player One. Like,
Good old Ready Player One.
yeah, you know, like tried to do
fuck,
his best,
man.
but
God
it's
damn
a
it.
but it was a good adaptation of
Hey, it's
what
A
better
good
Ready.
than the book.
adaptation of a shitty fucking book.
Yeah,
Exactly,
I give
exactly.
him. You know what? That's one of his. I would say that's one of his best jobs because not that the movie is whatever, but the book is like it's the dirt worst,
Yeah,
and he made a bearable movie.
yeah.
It's
And
dirty brown water trash.
Congratulations to Steve. He showed his directing prowess with that piece of crap.
he showed his true colors.
So what? Who do you guys think? Like of I don't want to say modern because my pick's gonna not be very modern at all. But who do you guys think will be like the next quote unquote good director? Put a shitty movie out there. I'm gonna say it's and I had to look it up. I'm not gonna lie, but Peter Farley. He directed Green
He
Book.
directed the Green Book. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, but before that, he didn't have the. I think he's gonna put out one of those shallow howl type movies again.
Yeah, like that's exactly what I'm expecting from Peter Farley. Like he can't run away from like even though I love Dumb and Dumber, like he's missing a brother, but like I don't think he can run away from that. Like that is
Yeah.
on his credits like it's just oh man, Peter Farley, fuck you.
It's gonna be J.J. Abrams. He already is fucked up a little bit, and he's gonna get worse.
You know what? He might have used up what the little amount of talent that he had. He might have already used it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens to the greats because I mean, like you guys mentioned. I mean, Spielberg now maybe he's not as good as he, but he was a great director at one point.
Mhm.
George Lucas gave us Star Wars, so I mean,
Yeah.
if it can happen to them, it can definitely happen to J.J. Abrams.
DHX 1132 or whatever the fuck that movie was.
Yeah, THX 1138 as artsy and definitely film school as it is, it's pretty
It's a cool
creepy.
movie, man. It's a cool movie.
Yeah, it's out there. It's a pretty weird movie. Who do you guys think? We've kind of discussed this we have discussed this over the past few weeks. Who do you guys think is a lock for never making a bad movie? And I know we've thrown around Quentin Tarantino, but is there anyone else out there who's still alive who will not make a bad?
Damn it, ruined it.
Okay, so I want to say Matthew Vaughn. Like, I'm not sure if you guys have seen. Well, like, he did Layer Cake Stardust. He did a very fun Kick-Ass. He did the reboot for X-Men, Days of Future Past. He did those very fun Kingsman movies. Like, I think he's like all that shit is fun. All that
Okay.
shit is fun. Like now, if you were saying like he's gonna win the Oscars, no, this is not the guy. But I think
Right,
that
right.
he's gonna be my next Michael Bay.
That's
Fuck,
not a
man.
bad pick because the movies that you list, they all have something in common. Is like you said, they might not be Oscar contenders or winners, but they are a good time. And I mean, ultimately, that's what a director should be trying to do, right?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna say because I've only seen a couple of his movies, but he's only made a few. And I think we brought him up earlier. Ari Astor. I have high hopes for Mr. Astor. Don't fuck it up, guy. I know you listen too. Got a good thing going. I like your weird, horrific filmmaking.
He was the one that he was the first name that I thought of because he's come out with two, not just, passable movies. He's come out with two very strong
Really,
movies.
really good movies. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think what'll eventually happen is he'll get tired of being relegated to like, oh, he's that
The
horror
horror
visionary.
guy.
Yeah. So I think he'll step out of his wheelhouse. I don't think he'll ever make a horrible movie. I think he's too talented to
Yeah.
do that. But I
He
can
just
see
needs to
him.
get Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio in a movie together. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's that simple.
well, I think that's where the unique voices come into play. Like that's like what we're trying to look for. And Ari Aster, like he does have those two like strong movies, and you do get like a strong cast like DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. man, that I think you have yourself an Oscar winner, and it's something that will get noticed by Hollywood, not just get left behind.
Yeah, because he's done great with like, well, not nobodies, but like people of lesser the B tier of Hollywood. And he's done a phenomenal job with.
Yeah, this is true. Because since he's a new director, he's not getting. He wasn't. Who knows what the future holds for him? But it's not like he was working with A-list cast. So, which is not to denigrate the
Florence
actors at
Pugh
all.
did a fucking A-list performance.
Yeah, another horror actress robbed at the Oscars.
Totally from her fucking Little Women.
Yeah, I don't. Horror is just like I don't know. I know this isn't a horror show, but horror is treated so unfairly. I blame it on the '80s.
Yeah,
they totally made a joke out of the genre, but it was a fun joke.
God damn you, Wes Craven.
Should have stuck with porn.
There's another guy that gets like a pass, Wes Craven as well.
Yeah, he made Music of the Heart. Fuck that movie. That's a terrible movie.
Did he really?
Music of the Heart.
Have you never seen that movie?
I never heard of that movie.
Okay, look up Music of the Heart. That is a Wes Craven directed.
What is it? A comedy?
No, it's
Like a
no, it's like a drama about like a music school.
Ooh, it has Meryl Streep, Cloris Leachman.
Yep, Cloris Leachman's all you need. Let's be real.
I'm done. Okay, there you go. Okay, I'm seeing this movie
by Wes Craven.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, weird. I've never heard of that movie.
On our next look at.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll have to look that. Has Christopher Nolan ever taken a misstep? He seems like he's always been very solid with this. And I know it depends on what you think of certain Batman movies.
No, in my opinion, no, he hasn't. Like, I think you could say what you want about Interstellar. Probably would be the one that you could pick on, but yeah, no. Overall, he's done a really, really good job.
I think the one that you could pick on is The Prestige as well, and I think that was
The Prestige. Bite your tongue.
I love
that movie, but I don't think I've heard anybody like talk good about it because there's also that. Yeah,
dude, I think you need to. I don't know who you've been talking to. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything bad about it.
You know what? I would even say that it's having like a renaissance right now.
Yeah, like
the new movie that's coming out.
Well, like people are checking it out, and like people are like having like thinking it's underrated.
You know what? I think you're confused with The Illusionist, which came out around the same time, which very few people do have good things to say. Another dude who we haven't talked about who's very polarizing, but whenever I think of Nolan, I think of him is Darren Aronofsky.
Ooh, yeah, that guy's hit or miss for me.
He's directed some very, very strong movies, but those same movies are hated by people too. So
very divisive, yeah.
Yeah, so I can sit here and say that he's never directed a bad movie, and someone can tell me how he's never directed a good one.
That's a good point.
And this is complete like just a personal thing. Like I don't think David Lynch has ever done a bad movie. I don't care what people say about it. 84 Dune, I don't care or whatever year that came out. That's not a bad movie.
No, it's not a bad movie.
Inland Empire, I don't know, bro. Inland Empire.
You know, like 4-hour movies that are half in Polish?
Yeah, I sometimes I have a hard time with that.
I'm a fan, and it took me like two and a half seatings to watch that.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is David Lynch, and I'm watching it. I'm like, this is David Lynch, but I don't think I'm gonna watch this all in one.
This sure is David Lynch.
Little much, but I guess the point of this month is there's a lot of great directors out there. There is a lot of great directors. I mean, you don't need us.
And there's a lot of stink.
and they're all the same. Like all those your favorite director is also the worst director that's out there.